Syracuse enters this matchup as 17.5-point underdogs on the road against Georgia Tech, and I can understand why. Georgia Tech is a top 10 team in the nation. They're 7-0. They're at home. They have one of, if not the best quarterback in the ACC in Haynes King. They love to run the football. They're really good at it. Syracuse, for the most part, although they've been better for the last couple of games, they're not really good at stopping the run. On paper, you look at this matchup and say Georgia Tech should easily win this game by double digits. Now, am I going to sit here and say to you, hey, I think Syracuse is going to pull off an upset? No, I'm not going to do that, okay? Syracuse fans, maybe you feel a little bit differently. Feel free to voice your opinion in the comments section below. Tell me why you may believe that Syracuse can actually pull this one out and get a road victory and maybe get themselves back in the conversation of making a bowl in 2025. Feel free, because I'm certainly rooting for Syracuse on Saturday. That's for sure. It's just hard to envision Syracuse actually being able to win this game. But I do think Syracuse has an outside chance of at least keeping this a lot closer than you may imagine, which is surprising for me to actually say that. But it's true. I genuinely believe it. I'm not just going to sit here and say something to you that I don't believe. I didn't think Syracuse had any sort of chance last week. I didn't think Syracuse had much of a chance against SMU. I voiced that on Locked On Syracuse. So when I say, hey, I actually do think Syracuse has sort of an outside shot at least keeping this close, just know that I mean that. I genuinely mean that. I mean it because there are a few positive signs for Syracuse. Number one, their run defense the last couple of weeks has been better. I got to give them credit for that. They did a good job against SMU. They did a good job against Pitt. Now, Georgia Tech is a different beast. They're a different animal, but maybe Syracuse has turned the corner in that department, and so they can at least contain the Georgia Tech running game. They're not going to stop it entirely. I'm not asking for that, but maybe they can contain it ever so slightly. Maybe, just maybe, right? Also, even though Georgia Tech is 7-0, part of the reason why I still think there are a lot of people out there that don't necessarily believe in Georgia Tech long-term is because you look at their wins, and it's not just the quality of opponents that they have faced. It's the fact that they typically don't blow teams out. Against power conference opponents this season, Georgia Tech doesn't have a single win beyond just 2 scores. So typically teams are able to keep it somewhat close against Georgia Tech. Part of it is because, well, they don't really do a good job stopping the run. And if you can run the football, you give yourself a chance in pretty much every game, right? So with all that being considered, I do think Georgia Tech is going to win this game. I do. But I don't think they're going to cover 17.5 as of right now. I think that line is a little bit much, even though Syracuse is on the road. And nothing really suggests they're going to pull off an upset here. But I do think they'll keep it closer than you might think. So I'm going to go with the final score of Georgia Tech 30, Syracuse 17. And I hope that Syracuse is at least within striking distance in the fourth quarter. I don't hope it's some sort of backdoor cover by Syracuse, because nobody cares at that point. So hopefully they're somewhat in this game, but I am still picking Georgia Tech to win. Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Feel free to tell me why I'm wrong. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, feel free to tell me why Georgia Tech is going to run all over Syracuse and they're going to win this game 40-0. If you're a Syracuse fan watching or listening, which most of you probably are, feel free to tell me why Syracuse is going to upset Georgia Tech, which is what I want to happen. Okay, I'm wearing a Syracuse shirt. We got the Syracuse background. This is a Locked On Syracuse podcast. I want Syracuse to win, but I'm not picking them to win this game.